There are 5 countries in the world that a lot of expats think are tax havens or great places to live, that they think they can actually drastically lower their taxes, that are actually no more than big tax traps. A lot of countries offer tax holidays, cheap living, nice weather, that does more than basically suck you and your spouse into paying maybe lower than their regular tax rates and then be sucked into ridiculous amounts of taxes later on. And then you later fall into what I call a tax trap. All right, now in this video, I'm going to actually give you how these tax traps work in the countries and better alternatives to choose from. Also, if you're making at least $150,000 US dollars a year and or you got a net worth at least 1 million US and you want to legally get your income taxes to zero, how to get a second passport as quick as 2 months, do 3 things. Hit the subscribe button here to the right of your screen. You'll get new videos automatically as they come out. And don't forget to hit that notification bell next to that subscribe button. And number 2 is I'd like to hear from you. If you got a question or comment, just put it below and I'll get back with you. And number 3 is go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, and just ask for some help. All right, now these tax traps lure a lot of expats into their web. And in no time, you basically are sucked into the tax trap. And most people don't even know when it's coming. Let me give you an example of some countries and how this is done. I see people actually even in the business of trying to show people how to lower taxes, and they fall in this. Colombia, South America is a good example. The tax bracket in Colombia is as high as 39%. In fact, their brackets are actually higher than the US's. And they tax this 39% on your worldwide income to residents. Colombia basically sucks in you into hoping that you and your wife will feel comfortable living there, to where you will eventually get tired of leaving the country before your 6 months is out, which is basically the time period when they start taxing you on your worldwide income. And believe it or not, you get basically sucked into this trap, because either you or your spouse gets so comfortable that when that 6-month period comes up, you basically decide not to leave anymore, and then you get sucked in the tax trap. This happens to a lot of people. I see so many expats that move to Colombia fall into this. As a person gets older, he becomes more and more less likely, to leave Colombia if he's there, and if he gets into bad health where he cannot leave, or his spouse gets into bad health where she can't leave. Basically, what happens, you end up getting sucked into spending more than 6 months a year in that place. Whether it's Colombia or some other place that taxes worldwide income. And this happens all the time. I see a lot of times where one spouse wants to leave to avoid the tax before the 6 months is out, but the wife doesn't want to leave, basically sucking you into this tax trap. And this becomes more and more likely as you get older, and the Colombian government basically knows this, that's how they, get you sucked in this trap. This basically becomes more and more likely, as you become older. I always tell people, if you don't want this to happen, you really should be picking residencies where you don't have to get up and leave after a ticking time bomb of a 6-month period. The only way you can do that is to pick a good territorial country, or if you're a tax-saving country, you don't have to look at your time watch or your calendar to make sure you get out of that country. Another good example is Mexico. Mexico, Central America, has more American expats than any other country in the world, at about 900,000 people. And so many move there to escape paying U.S. taxes, yet find out that they have just jumped from one fire into another. For some reason, American expats get this thing in their head that, that they've gotten into trouble in the U.S. on tax matters. And then they just think they can just cross the border into Mexico and not pay income taxes there, just like they did in the U.S. And the United States citizens get this thing in their head that Mexico is so corrupt that they don't keep up with the tax laws like the U.S. does. I went to a worldwide tax conference in Bermuda. It was in 2002, and one of the things that they hit on so much was the tax advisors in Mexico were talking about how strict that the Mexican tax laws are. And in fact, they're just as strict as the U.S. And the thing about it is U.S. people, when they go to Mexico, they stand out, especially, when you're talking a lot of English. And these guys are not stupid. They know that Americans go there. A lot of them are there to try to avoid taxes. And basically, you stand out like a sore thumb. This is, you literally become a target. I see a lot of Americans getting targeted in Mexico because the law there targets them because they know a lot of them go across the border and don't pay taxes. Now, you got to remember that tax brackets in Mexico and worldwide income are as high as 35% to its residents. So, I'll be honest with you, if you're young, you want to go to Mexico and you want to play that game of bouncing around to try to get around the taxes there, fine. But I think as you get older, if you start buying properties there, you're going to find out you're going to probably regret that. And most really wealthy people don't do that. I'm telling you, they avoid Mexico, okay? Another program or another country is Portugal. Portugal has a program called the NHR, or the Non-Habitual Residency Program. And you might ask, what is this non-habitual residence program that's in Portugal? Well, the NHR, also called the Non-Habitual Tax Resident Program, is a tax regime created to improve Portuguese international competitiveness. This regime targets non-resident individuals who are likely to establish a permanent or temporary residence in Portugal. In order to apply for the non-habitual residence regime, you must have the right to reside in Portugal. You must have not been as a Portuguese tax resident in 5 years prior to your application. And you have a residence in Portugal that you intend to keep and occupy as a habitual home. Now, Portugal's non-habitual residence program, also again called the NHR scheme, gives you special tax benefits to new residents for their first 10 years in the country. It also offers a lower income tax rate of 20% if you employed in Portugal in what's called a high-value activity, which allows you to receive some foreign income tax free. But if you look at the fine line, most of that offshore income is only tax-free if it's taxed somewhere else. Otherwise, it's taxed in Portugal. And this is not what I call anything close to being tax-free. Living. Don't fall for this. If you're moving to Portugal because you like Portugal and you don't mind, long-term high taxes, then don't move there. What this country is hoping is that you're going to take the hit on some taxes that are middle-to-the-road taxes, and they're hoping that you'll get comfortable living there, and then after 10 years, you and your spouse won't want to move, which happens a lot, basically because your spouse is comfortable living there, and basically you've been sucked into that tax trap. If they want to be a tax haven, just take the 10 years out and make all income tax free. This condition, you got to be taxed somewhere else to be not taxed in Portugal is stupid. There's so many places you can go to, you don't have all those conditions. Another place is, which a lot of people have misconceptions of, which is a tax trap, is Uruguay. Uruguay they have really good things that I like, but I'll tell you something, it's a tax trap because it's got a tax exemption on dividends for 5 years. Now, why don't they just exempt the taxes on dividends? This is just another tax trap. And what's happened is you get there for 5 years, you get those exemptions, and then they're saying that those dividends are taxed unless you're taxed somewhere else. And to me, that's not tax-free. This is another gimmick. And you got to be taxed at a higher rate than what's being taxed in Uruguay to be able to exempt that tax. So, Uruguay is not really, it's a tax trap. It's not really a pure territorial tax system like Panama, Costa Rica, Ecuador, St. Kitts and Nevis, or Guatemala. These are better choices if you really want to avoid taxes, either through a pure tax haven or a territorial tax system. Anyway, if you're making at least $150,000 US a year or you got a net worth at least 1 million US, and you want to legally get your taxes to zero or how to get a second passport as quick as 2 months, do three things. Hit the subscribe button on the right of your screen here, and you get new videos automatically as they come out. And number two is I would like to hear from you. If you got a question or comment, just put it below. And number three is go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, and hit that top button that says apply with us, fill out the questions, and then hit that bottom bar that says send it to us. We'll get back with you to see what we can do to solve whatever problem you got, and we'll look forward to talking to you on the next video. Take care.